Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's event. We're very, very thrilled to offer a night of music, speeches, and general entertainment. The performers who you're about to see have worked hard all year long and have put together a really nice program for you. So we ask that you listen and you pay attention. And you also lean in and connect with what's going on. The speakers will talk about a wide range of topics, some that are specific to Eaglebrook, as well as others from far away like Japan. So we ask you to listen, lean in, and think about the ideas. And it's my great pleasure, so please welcome your MCs, Frank and Nikita.
There we go. Huge thanks to the Music Club for that amazing prelude. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to EBS Talks. I'm Frank Zhang.
And I'm Nikita Duncan.
We'll be your hosts tonight, guiding you through music, speeches, and some deeply questionable humor.
Mostly Frank's. He peaked in JV soccer, and it's been downhill ever since.
You know, Nikita, they say I bring real energy to the field. They call it chaotic neutral.
Yeah, you really brighten the spirit from the bench.
All right, that's enough. Now please welcome Andres Seal, here to talk about how people think and why perception matters. Welcome, Andres.
At Eaglebrook, we are all creative, whether we're writing essays, working on an art project, or brainstorming new ideas for a science project. Creativity and new ideas are everywhere, but sometimes too many guidelines can overwhelm us, clouding our imagination and making it hard to know where to start. This can be a problem as, sadly, deadlines exist, and forcing a creative project makes the end result far worse. The solution is simple, but first, let me show you how I discovered it. To begin, let's try something together. I would like you to close your eyes and imagine an apple. Doesn't have to be anything special, just an apple. Got it? What'd you think of? Personally, I think of an imaginary stock photo of an apple with some black paper background and some droplets of water on its skin. When I asked the same question to three separate people, my advisor, Mr. Lamb, Mr. Robinson, and one of my friends, they all answered differently. Mr. Lamb thought of the apple in the Rene Magritte painting, The Son of Man, a painting in which a green apple floats in front of the face of a well-dressed man's face. June, my friend, imagined a cartoon apple that just had a brown stem and a detailless green leaf. Mr. Robinson, similarly to me, thought of a realistic apple, one that he saw earlier that day in the dining hall. After I asked them to imagine this imaginary apple, I asked them to put yellow spots on that apple. I asked them to put yellow spots on the apple. After that question, some, like June, could easily put yellow spots on it because for June's in a cartoony world, anything could happen. There's no restrictions on a cartoon image. However, Mr. Lamb and Mr. Robinson found it too difficult because their imaginations were based on realism or on a fixed image. In my case, I would do one of two things: either simplify the apple to a cartoon one, like June's, and then add the yellow spots, or I would just have to zoom in really close and then add the yellow spots. Now, while I had my own theory as to why this happened, I wanted to double-check it, make sure that was actually true, so I researched. In my research, I uncovered multiple studies that speak on mental imagery, notably those by American psychologist and neuroscientist Stephen Kosslyn. Kosslyn's studies focus on his theory of mental imagery, which explains that there are multiple steps involved in conjuring mental images. The main ones being image generation, maintenance, inspection, and transformation. Because of this, it's far easier to add or change details when the original image is simple with not many constrictions. Kosslyn's conclusions can be applied to various other aspects of our daily lives. Which can include things such as planning, as it's just far easier to focus less on the details and more on the main idea. You may be wondering, why does this matter for schoolwork? Why am I up here? Well, Kosslyn focused on mental imagery. The same ideas apply to other mental concoctions, including planning, which is obviously critical for schoolwork. If you start simple, you'll find yourself less stressed when big projects and deadlines come around because you'll already have the main ideas that you wanted on your piece of paper. Now, let's put this idea to the test. Try to imagine a simple cartoon beach sunset. Doesn't have to be anything special. And then, afterwards, add details. Try to add as many as you can. Maybe some birds flying overhead, or maybe some crabs scurrying in the beach. Now, how many did you imagine? Could you add more than was it easier to add than those yellow spots on that apple that you imagined earlier? Since we started with a cartoon set, a realistic one, this made it far easier to imagine those details, as you weren't worried about it not fitting on the image, because in a cartoon world, anything could happen. Now, at a school for creators like Eaglebrook, this can make the difference between feeling stuck and feeling inspired, or the difference between a B+ and an A. Using the strategy, it makes, at least when I use it, it makes creative projects much easier to handle, turning uncertainty into confidence and rushed work into a well-thought-out idea. So the next time you're struggling to imagine ideas for a creative piece, essay, or anything else, remember this. Start simple, dream big, succeed even bigger, and most importantly, keep creating.
Thanks, Andres. I see things differently now. Mostly how Nikita sees everything as a competition.
Second place is just first loser, Frank.
So that explains with your FIFA session. Now please welcome Kevin Hong with the truth about college admissions.
We've all heard our parents say, back in my day, when I was your age, and explain how difficult life was when they were young. Okay, I do admit life today is much easier. Phones are better, entertainment is better, and there's countless things that have advanced. However, there's definitely one important facet of life that adults should never complain about. In 2018, the admissions rate for NYU was 36.5%. In 2024, the admissions rate for that same school was only 8%. 8%. NYU is this difficult to get into, and this year it had dropped down to 7%. And if you think NYU is just some outlier school, it's not. Here is the graph of the plummeting acceptance rates at all the Ivy League schools throughout the past 2 decades. Yeah. We got Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, UPenn, Princeton, Harvard, and lastly, Yale. The chance of getting into a prestigious university isn't the only thing that's taking a nosedive. What is also declining is the mental health of high school students in high-achieving schools. Sonia Luther, professor of psychology at Arizona State University, studied youth in high-achieving schools throughout the United States. She found that students at these schools suffered depression rates 3 times higher than the national average. These students experienced significantly higher rates of anxiety, depression, substance abuse, and delinquent behaviors. However, if you really think about this shocking study isn't too shocking at all. When the percentage chance of success slowly dwindles from 25% down to 5%, students at competitive high schools are forced to see their peers as rivals, as other contestants in a battle for survival. As a result, dangerous behaviors such as peer envy and cheating begin to become frequent. A Harvard survey of 10,000 students found that half of American youth prioritize their own achievements over personal happiness and caring for others. The drop in admission rates is causing a drop in ethical standards of today's youth. However, we need to reframe this topic and answer the main question. Why are the admission rates dropping so much? One profound underlying reason is that today, kids are applying to more and more schools. 20 years ago, students might have applied to about 5 schools. Today, it's normal to apply to 20 schools. As a result, you have to write 20 different college application essays and spend at least 20 hours in cars and planes while traveling for 20 different college tours and 20 interviews. And hopefully, in the following spring, receive 20 acceptance letters. The inflation of applications per student is artificially decreasing admission rates. Not only are admission rates dropping and teen anxiety spiraling, but the process of college applications is becoming more time-consuming and more expensive and more annoying. However, the main cause of lower admission rates is the fact that schools refuse to increase max student capacity. Even as Ivy League schools continue to receive more and more applications every following year, they refuse to expand the total student population. Take Harvard, for example. The student population has increased at a relatively slow rate, but the applications per year have increased drastically, and only 2,000 students are admitted each year. So the problem lies in many different institutions that are uninterested in increasing student capacity. This problem is due to the incentive for prestigious schools to remain prestigious. The fewer the available slots, the more prestigious these schools are perceived. Thus, this plummeting rate is a factor that is out of our hands. As students in an increasingly competitive world, when everybody wants to go to the top 20 schools, what should we do? The answer lies in reframing our minds and taking a new approach, shifting our focus from the stress of acceptance rates to developing skills that enable us to find success. Physician and neuroscientist James R. Doty, founder of the Sea Care Center at Stanford University, explains the power of manifestation in his new book. Dr. Doty found that people who fixate on what other people think become stressed out and their bodies shift into fight or flight mode, as Nathan mentioned in his previous Sunday meeting. In this mode, the sympathetic system takes control, and the brain doesn't think or function optimally, making the people unable to focus their attention on their goals or take positive, actionable steps. However, Dr. Doty noticed that people's brain function optimally when the parasympathetic nervous system is in charge. Thus, when people clear their minds of stress and focus on their long-term goals, they subconsciously create new task-positive networks that create extra attunement to tasks, increasing the likelihood of long-term success. So our best chance of success in college applications is to ditch the stress and focus conscientiously on our long-term goals. The challenge of reaching our dream schools isn't a war, but a deeply personal journey, one that requires focus and commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. That was incredibly helpful. I'm ready for college. Well, sort of.
Nikita, you've had your college spreadsheets ready since 6th grade. Next up, Nathan Pang, teaching us how to lock in. Welcome, Nathan.
The question that we students have is, how do I do my homework or lock in? I had the same question when I was a fourth former. However, 3 years of experience have given me a decent answer. First, you have to understand your values and needs. Obviously, we have food, water, shelter, and family. These are mostly universal needs. Lastly, there are the personal values or activities. These are different from each person and generally motivate people the most when the universal values or needs are fulfilled. Hold up, some of you might be thinking, where does social media fit into any of this? Well, humans, like other animals, are naturally drawn to stimulation because of survival instinct. You notice something move better, you're more likely to notice and do something that could prevent your death. So it's pretty clear. There's a clash between stimulation and your personal values. Since the stimulation response evolved earlier, it usually takes priority. So how do we shift the focus from the stimulation to your other values? There are two ways: the light and dark sides. The dark side taps into the real or perceived inadequacy of your universal values. The only issue with this method is that you have to fight an inconsistency between reality and your perception. Like how propaganda is more effective when someone knows less, this inconsistency can cause back and neck pains, which I've experienced. And it really feels like going to school, but with 2 backpacks instead of 1. Now the light side, which we'll be focusing on. It's not as strong, but doesn't result in paralyzing pains. The light side taps into how a task aligns with your personal values. The more a task aligns, the better. The method hurts less because you try to see the positive aspects rather than a false negative situation. So, light side, personal values, what now? You need to find your personal values first. For that, you can take a test online. I know some of you don't have 20 minutes to spare, so I made another system. You ask yourself the question, if you could be born at any age, as any gender, ethnicity, personality, and with any family background, what would you choose? Then you can derive your wants from what you chose. For example, if you wanted an upper-class family, then you probably wanted stability, comfort, and a multitude of choices. If you chose a lower to middle-class family, you probably want a sense of adventure, hard work, and struggle to become great and capable. But those previous ones may seem like too much work for you. So I made another one. Imagine yourself being omnipotent. Then pose the question, what would I do for eternity? If you settle on an answer, then cross that one off and find another. Then find anything in common between the list of activities you compiled. For example, if you chose video games, sports, and watching YouTube, 2 of those activities have bright colors, fast movements, and interesting sounds. And the other, sports, has a more community feel. Then you can assume that your personal values include liking stimulating things, talking to friends, or doing things with them. The next step is finding how school and homework fit into your values. Let's say you chose to have a rich family background. You could make the argument that doing your homework helps with stability and control, because if you do it well, then you can understand your classes better. Don't have time to study much for future tests, and don't have to study as much for future tests, and prepares you for high school. Also, you can flex on your friends when you finish your homework so early. You can make the connection with almost anything. You like talking to your friends? Have a supportive group of faculty and/or students to help you, except with stimulating activities or primal desires, such as eating, drinking, gaming, sleeping, etc. The reason is that homework is nearly the complete opposite of stimulation and primal desires, so they are really hard to align together. That's not the end. Like with exercising and sports, you need to activate this technique during the moments when it matters the most. First, you need to activate the technique when you're bored. I recommend staring at a blank spot on the wall for 30 seconds without looking away, and trying to reinforce the technique in your head of how homework is connected to your personal values. Then once you find that you can stare at a blank spot on the wall for around 2 minutes, then you can try using more of your brain power. It might start out as staring at a blank sheet of paper, or drawing 5 tally marks every two seconds, or solving some math questions that you came up with if you find that boring. You can do any boring thing, and I recommend you sustain it for at least 10 seconds. If you can't, then make the activity easier, but still boring. Practicing this way makes you get used to using brain power and time on something that is boring and uneventful, like homework. The reason we did the entire find your core values is because you want the seemingly boring activity to at least make some sense to your brain. But Nathan, I hear you say, all this stuff is too much work. I don't want to take an online test or do a thought experiment to do some attention span increasing exercises just to do homework effectively. Well, this is the easiest way I know, and if you don't like it, you're most likely going to have to suffer the hard way. Remember how I talked about the dark side method? It's a lot stronger, but it's only useful when you're in a rough situation. What this means is that when you go to high school and you're totally unprepared, you use the dark side method due to getting subpar grades and having to talk to your teachers. Although that way is painful, it takes the least amount of time but a lot of effort. So your options are a lot of effort but doesn't take a lot of time but doesn't take a lot of effort per day, or a short amount of time but a lot of effort per day. The choice is yours.
Thanks, Nathan. I feel more focused already, though I did just write lock-in at the top of my notebook and forgot the rest.
You writing things down doesn't mean it's getting done.
Let's keep the momentum going. It's time for music. Please welcome Jonathan Jang, Danny Chu, and Chris Young.
Good evening. I'm Chris. That's Danny. That's JJ, but most of you guys call him Jonathan. This is a Jimi Hendrix song. It's called Wait Till Tomorrow. It's about a man who really likes a girl, but his dad doesn't really like him. So here we go. I'm standing here freezing outside your golden garden. Got my letter, lean up against your wall. Tonight's the night, gonna run away together. Come on, darling, me, there's no time to draw. You say you gotta wait till tomorrow. You gotta wait till tomorrow. You gotta wait till tomorrow. He's right, so till tomorrow, good night. Oh, darling, how can you hang me up this way? On the phone you said you wanna run off from day to day. And here like some turned down serrated fool. You change words from a mix of mind to you. And you're telling me you gotta wait till tomorrow. You gotta wait till tomorrow. You gotta wait till tomorrow. Oh, darling, me, you know you must be insane. So you show yourself in your one-store window pane. Do I see a silhouette or some from a tree? Click bang, when I hang, your daddy just shot for me. And here you say, as I fade away, they gotta wait till tomorrow. They gotta wait till tomorrow. Don't have to wait, don't have to wait. They gotta wait till tomorrow. 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 Thank you.
That was awesome. Give it up for them again. That performance had more harmony than Mr. TR's wardrobe, which hasn't changed since the moon landing. Hey, if it's older than you, then it still works. It's vintage.
If it creaks when it moves, it's Mr. TR. Coming up next, we have Daniel Park, June Lee, and Liam Kim with a dive into South Korean history and culture. Let's hear it for them.
Today, I'll be sharing the story of one of Korea's greatest heroes, admirer Lee Sun-shin. He was born in 1545 in Koncheon-dong, Hansungbu, what we now call Seoul. Although his family was considered part of the noble class, they didn't have much money or political power. Even as a child, Lee stood out for being serious, responsible, and determined. He enjoyed studying and training, and he worked hard to improve himself in every way. Life wasn't always easy, but the challenges he faced helped shape his strong sense of duty and his lifelong goal to protect his country.
So as Lee Sun-shin grew older, he developed a strong passion for martial arts and military skills. He trained with swords and bows and became an expert in both archery and swordsmanship. However, he didn't stop there. He also read many books about war and battle strategies. He wanted to understand how great leaders made decisions and how to outsmart larger enemy forces. So Lee Sun-shin combined strength and intelligence, which later helped him a lot in becoming not just a powerful fighter, but a respected leader.
The quote on the slide says, "A general must be loyal, and thy loyalty must be toward the people." This idea meant everything to Lee Sun-shin. He believed that true leadership was about protecting the people, not just following orders from kings or governments. Even when he lost his rank unfairly or was blamed for things he didn't do, Lee stayed loyal to his country. In the statue shown here, you can see him in full armor with a sword at his side. His calm, focused expression shows his strength and dedication. It's a reminder that real heroes don't give up, even when things get difficult.
Lee Sun-shin became a famous naval commander during the Joseon dynasty. When Japan invaded Korea in around the 1590s, he led the Korean Navy to several major victories, even though he was often outnumbered. These battles changed the course of the war and also gave hope to the Korean people. Later, in the Battle of Myeongnyang, he faced over 300 enemy ships with only 13 of his own. He used the narrow sea currents and surprising movements to win an unbelievable victory. So at the Battle of Hansan-do, his fleet destroyed around 100 Japanese ships by using clever tactics and teamwork.
One of the admiree's most important inventions was the turtle ship, or Kobukson. It had a covered roof to block arrows and fire, iron spikes to stop enemies from jumping on board, and cannons pointing in every single direction. At the front, it had a dragon-shaped head that could release smoke, confusing and frightening the enemy. The ship was way ahead of its time. Thanks to its powerful design and Lee's leadership, the turtle ship helped Korea win several key battles, including Hansan-do and Myeonglang. Today, it stands as a symbol of Korean creativity and design.
Lee Sun-shin became a national hero during the Imjin War, which lasted from 1592 to 1598. Even though he often had fewer ships and fewer men, he won battle after battle, using smart strategies and bold decisions. He helped design and lead the turtle ship fleet, giving Korea a major advantage at sea. Despite being treated unfairly by leaders who were jealous or afraid of his success, Lee stayed loyal and kept fighting. He died in 1598 during the Battle of Noryang, but did not before leading Korea to one final victory. His bravery and determination never faded.
His last words as he gets shot by the enemy was to left people of death, because he wanted to don't make enemies confused and be confident. Lee Sun-shin is remembered as someone who saved Korea from disaster. His leadership, courage, and loyalty made him a legend. Students in Korea learn about him from a young age, and his statues can be found all over the country, especially the one in Gwanghwamun Plaza in Seoul.
Even outside Korea, people respect Admiral Lee. Military experts and historians around the world study his battle strategies. Some say that Admiral Horatio Nelson, one of Britain's greatest naval commanders, admired Lee's accomplishments. His story proves that great leadership and determination can make a huge difference, even when the odds are against you.
So Admiral Lee Sun-shin was more than just a military leader. He was a true national hero. During the Imjin War, he never lost a single naval battle, and his most famous victory came at Myeongyang, where he defeated a much larger fleet using only 13 ships. His turtle ship, also called the Kobukson, and creative tactics helped protect Korea and continue to inspire people today. Lee Sun-shin's story teaches us that bravery, loyalty, and also smart thinking can help someone stand strong, even in the hardest times. And that's why Admiral Lee is still remembered as one of the greatest heroes in Korean history. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was amazing. I feel smarter already.
Dangerous territory. Nikita is already running on Swiss engineered precision. God, that's a horrible joke.
Dude, you wrote it. All right, next up, could we please welcome Yuzu with a speech on water pollution?
When you think of pollution, what do you think of? Many might think of air pollution, forest fires, and more. When I think of pollution, I think of water pollution, which takes me back to my mother's hometown. My mother comes from Kochi, Japan. Kochi is on the southern coast of an island called Shikoku. Shikoku has 4 prefectures: Tokushima Prefecture, Kagawa Prefecture, Ehime Prefecture, and Kochi Prefecture. Most people earn a living from fishing or selling fish in Kochi. However, since water pollution began, the quality of the water has deteriorated over time due to the many causes of pollution humans have made, such as many broken down small pieces of plastics, which are called microplastics, and additionally chemicals end up in the ocean, rivers, and lakes. As a result, people from Kochi have suffered greatly from this pollution due to not being able to catch as many fish as before. Not only do these causes lead to the earth gradually becoming unhealthy, but they also cause poverty, which could lead to unstable mental health for citizens and a high crime rate. These causes are called the indirect effect. Indirect effect is when the effect does not directly affect something, but affects it through something else. So what led to the water pollution? There are multiple causes of this pollution. One of them is factory pollution. When factories produce things, they release dirty water or chemicals into the ocean. These chemicals are absorbed or taken by the fish and stay in their tissues. This is called bioaccumulation. This occurs because the fish breathes in the water or touches the chemical in some way. Also, if the fish is bigger, the chemical has a longer time to accumulate, generally due to a longer lifespan. For example, a tuna is a big fish and it is known for mercury poisoning. Also, if plankton has taken in the chemical, then the fish will eat the plankton and then the humans will eat the fish. Therefore, the fish gets unhealthy, and when people eat these fishes, they become extremely ill, leading to permanent damage to their bodily functions. For example, Minamata disease tormented many people near the sea. Minamata disease first occurred in the prefecture of Kumamoto in 1950. It was a neurological disease that had a very heavy mercury poisoning. Many symptoms include numbness in the hands and feet, general muscle weakness, loss of peripheral vision, and damage to their hearing and speech. Not being able to use your hands and feet will trouble you in eating, riding, and more. Muscle weakness will prevent you from playing sports or walking. Loss of peripheral vision could affect you greatly because it makes it hard to see things. Loss of hearing and speech could trouble you because you cannot communicate. These symptoms did not go away for some people, leaving them to quit their jobs. There were more than 70,000 victims, and more than 2,300 people have died from this disease. Think about how many people that is. That is approximately 8 times the people sitting in this assembly area. From this talk, I hope you guys think further about use of plastics and spread awareness about water pollution. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuzu. That was really powerful.
That was incredible. Honestly, better execution than Nikita's goal scoring in Iceland.
Hey, not everyone can be a varsity legend. Some are meant to be team spirit contributors, like you, Frank.
Thanks, Nikita. Now let's hear for Jay Cho, talking about heat waves in Mexico.
In Mexico, devastating heat waves are quickly increasing the frequency of heat-related fatalities. The heat waves have gone so bad that the New York Times now estimates that in March of last year, more than 125 people died from the heat waves in Mexico. As temperatures continue to rise without any sign of decline, the problem of deadly heat waves continues to grow each year. The struggling individuals in third world countries who live in destitution don't have the option to afford fancy technology such as air conditioning. Additionally, we must consider the excessive electricity usage by air conditioning and its carbon emissions. This is why unique solutions are necessary to improve the lives of the global poor and save them from the impacts of future heat waves. While researching deadly heat waves, I noticed that various traditional homes in Korea were heated using the floors to raise the temperature. I actually have this at my home in Seoul. While sitting on my heated floors, I thought, what if we could use this to cool the floors instead of heating them? As the floors are heated with fire, if we pumped water through the pipes instead, we could cool homes cheaply and efficiently. After a bunch of research, I found that this method is called radiant water cooling. A radiant water cooling system is a system of network of pipes in your walls, floors, or ceilings that can efficiently cool the temperature by soaking in the nearby heat. This type of technology exists in some Western architecture but can be retrofitted to cool homes in the third world cost-effectively. These important factors prove why radiant cooling is superior to air conditioning, especially in third world nations. For example, if the water in these pipes could come from a nearby river or stream, where the resting temperature is lower than the room temperature, the system would be a lot more affordable and would not require any additional energy, therefore greatly reducing overall carbon emissions. Furthermore, radiant water cooling is superior to other methods because it offers extreme efficiency at an extremely low price. Unlike any other solution, this method can take advantage of natural materials. A big problem we faced with other solutions was that we always had to use electricity in order to cool homes. Thus, how can we harness the carbon-free power of nature instead? Though the environment does not offer cool air during heat waves, nearby water sources are a viable option. The fundamentals of thermodynamics suggest that water sources such as rivers and streams are able to resist the rise in temperature during a heat wave, which allows it to maintain cool temperatures for much longer periods compared to room temperatures. Radiant water cooling has already been used to great effect in many parts of India. During 2010 to 11, there was an experiment conducted in the city of Hyderabad to prove the usefulness of radiant water cooling. In this experiment, two identical buildings were raised, with the only difference being that one was cooled with air conditioning and the other was cooled by radiant water cooling. In the end, it was revealed that the building cooled with radiant water cooling cut the energy cost by 35%. These cuts in costs directly benefited the people in the building, making their daily lives more affordable. Yes, radiant water cooling has great environmental benefits, such as lowering carbon emissions. But the main benefit is that it saves people's lives from the effects of global warming. We must prioritize the lives of the global poor by taking advantage of these affordable and environmentally friendly options. By doing this, we will be able to save the lives of hundreds of people in third world nations every year. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. That was hot stuff, literally.
Frank, that was a really bad joke. Now we've got Alvin Wang giving a talk about 1 acre. Let's hear it for him.
For just $100, you could help fight climate change. Not in some far-off country or in some distant future, but right here on the land we walk every day at Eaglebrook. So, let's do a quick mini trivia. How many acres of forest campus do we have at Eaglebrook? Here, come on, ask away. Let's see. Prescott. Close. Howard. You're right. It's 800 acres of pure forest. So, what if I told you that just 1 acre could become your legacy in the fight for a healthier planet? Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the woods behind the dorms or the trail behind the Evans Center. That's the place. That's where it starts, and let me take you there. So, last November, with the golden leaves falling around me, I sent a drone up into the air over campus, curious to see what our school looks like from a different angle. So, through the different lenses, the familiar fields and trails look pretty different. Not just places we pass by, but a living, breathing landscape. In autumn, the hills were bathed in gold. Then, winter came, and a soft silence covered everything in snow. It was beautiful, but it was more than that. It was powerful. Pretty soon, I'll send the drone back up when the flower buds are popping and the trees are getting bright green. But this time, I'm not just filming trees. I'm filming a vision of what's possible. Because these woods, they're not just a backdrop. Every tree you see, each trunk, is a column of carbon pulled from the sky. Every patch of soil is a hidden vault where greenhouse gases are safely locked away. This is carbon storage. Not an experiment in some lab, not a future invention. It's happening right now, right beneath our feet. According to masswoods.org, the New England Forestry Foundation, and the Nature Conservancy, 1 acre of New England forest, just like the ones on our campus, can absorb between 51.8 to 160 metric tons of carbon dioxide every single year. And here's a graph. And here's a quick carbon trivia for you. A flight from Boston to New York is going to roughly equate to around 185 miles, so that's around 100 kilograms of CO2 per passenger. A car driving from Boston to New York is going to equate around 87 kilograms or 192 pounds of CO2 per person. Or taking a Greyhound bus instead only takes around 10 to 15 kilograms of, CO2. A car ride from Boston to Eaglebrook is going to roughly equate to around 35 pounds of CO2 or not 35 pounds, 35 kilograms or 70 pounds of CO2. A flight from LA to Boston is going to roughly equate around 390 kilograms or 860 pounds of CO2. And a round-trip cruise from Orlando to the Bahamas is going to roughly equate to around 200 to 300 kilograms or 440 to 660 pounds of CO2 emissions. When you see it like this, you should realize every action we take has an impact, but so does every tree we protect. So that's why we started the Carbon Lot Project, a student-led initiative to protect what we already have. 1 acre, 1 action. For just $100, you can sponsor 1 acre of Eaglebrook's forest for a full year. There's a wide array of different information on how much an acre of forest can really capture carbon. So we're conservatively estimating 1 metric ton of carbon emission capture from each acre. For example, the slide I showed previously with the graph had a number of 51.8 metric tons of carbon absorption at the minimum per acre, and then the other side with the maximum absorption showed around 160 metric tons. So we're just being very conservative with this estimation. Your acre will feature smart forest management plans and absolutely zero development, just protection. And your name? It goes into our carbon lot registry, a permanent record of everyone who stood up and said, "I want to help." So, where does your $100 go, you might be thinking? Each $100 donation directly supports the preservation and maintenance of 1 acre of Eaglebrook School's forested land for a full year. The funds are allocated as following. Forest conservation efforts, implementing measures to protect the designated acre from development, ensuring the natural habitat remains undisturbed. Environmental monitoring, regular assessment of the health and biodiversity of the forest area, including tracking carbon sequestration levels and wildlife activity. Educational programs, developing and facilitating student-led initiatives and research projects focused on environmental stewardship and sustainability practices. And community engagement, organizing workshops and events to raise awareness about the importance of forest conservation and climate action within the Eaglebrook community and beyond. By contributing, donors not only aid in combating climate change, but also invest in the education and empowerment of future environmental leaders. So, I know the climate crisis can feel very overwhelming sometimes. Ice caps are melting, wildfires happening all over the place, rising seas, floods. Even here in Massachusetts, we had a snowstorm in April this year. I can already, just by thinking of this or looking at this, I'm already getting PTSD. Nature is speaking to us very loudly, so it's pretty easy to feel helpless. But the carbon lot project flips the script. It turns helplessness into action. So here's what you're supporting. You're not just donating. You're preserving biodiversity. You're protecting our school's land for future generations, and you're finally helping Eaglebrook's lead in environmental stewardship. And you're making a real, measurable, lasting difference here. So I ask you again, what's 1 acre worth? To the planet, maybe priceless. To you, maybe just $100. A small gift, but a gift that leaves a real legacy. 1 acre, 1 action. Join us. Choose your acre, leave your mark, the forest is waiting. And when I fly the drone again, I hope I'll be flying over a landscape not just full of trees, but full of names, full of actions, full of your legacy. So, I'd like to give a huge thanks to Mr. Mahoney's family. Donating around 20 acres is truly generous. And to the anonymous donator who gave 5 acres. Thank you for your kindness. I also made a donation of my own, 2 acres for $200, just because these woods are part of my Eaglebrook story. However, that's only around 27 acres of the 800, and that's just 3.38%. But if every 6th former here gives just $100, we can protect almost 100 acres together. Let's make our gift to Eaglebrook something stays on this mountain, something that stays in this forest forever. I truly hope more students and faculty can join in and support this project. 1 acre, 1 action, and 1 community. So, this project has taken nearly 6 months to go from just being an idea that I thought up in my mind to being completely real. I want to give a special thanks to Mr. Chase and Mr. Mahoney for always being there with advice, encouragement, and support. So many of their ideas helped me shape this vision. And also thank you to Jonathan Jang, who stood up outside with me in the cold, drone in hand, and helping me capture every single shot. Before I leave Eaglebrook, I feel so fortunate that we got to launch this truly meaningful project. And I hope the Innovation Club members will keep it going and carry the mission forward. So if you feel interested, email Mr. Mahoney at pfm@eaglebrook.org, Jonathan Jang at jonathan.jang26@eaglebrook.org, or me, at alvin.wang25@eaglebrook.org. Thank you.
Thanks, Alvin. That was really inspiring.
Unlike Mr. Boylan's golf game, which is just loud.
The only thing worse than his swing is his I meant to do that face after he thins his wedge across the green.
Now it's time for some real school spirit. Your favorite teachers on stage, out of their comfort zones. Make some noise for the faculty band.
Oh, yeah.
Poor old granddad, I laughed at all his words. I thought he was a bitter man, he spoke of others' ways. They'll trap you and they use you before you even know. For love is blind and you're far too kind to ever let it show. I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was younger, I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was stronger, the can, such a pretty show will steal your heart away. But backstage back on earth again, the dressing rooms are gray. They come on strong and it ain't too long for they make you feel a man. But love is blind and you soon will find that you're just a boy again. When you want some tips, you just get lip, makes you wonder where you are. If you want some more, then you're out the door, leaves you twinkling with the stars. Poor young grandson, there's nothing I can say. You're just to learn, just like me, and that's the hardest way. Ooh la la, ooh la la, yeah, yeah. I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was younger, I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was stronger, I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was younger, I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was stronger, I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was younger, I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was stronger. Ooh la la, ooh la la, yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't care about your past. I just want our love to last. I don't care, darling, about your faults. I just want to satisfy your pulse. Ow! When you kiss me, when you miss me, you hold my hand, make me understand. I break out in a cold sweat. I don't care about your wants. I just wanna tell you about your do's and don'ts. I don't care about the way you treat me, darling. I just want you to understand me, honey. Ow! When you kiss me and you miss me, you hold me tight, make everything alright. I break out in a cold sweat. I break out. Ooh, I break out. Ladies and gentlemen, please get up for Ali Little, Demon Pekarski, and Tim Chen. Ooh, I break out. I break out. In a cold sweat.
Let's give it up one more time for the faculty band and the contraband.
That performance had more emotion than when Mr. Hawkins told me my math quiz was creatively incorrect.
And then he struck out 3 kids in baseball practice like a tank doing algebra.
Truly a man of numbers and nightmares.
But seriously, tonight wouldn't be what it is without all of our amazing speakers and performers.
And without all of you, the audience, you've been awesome.
I'm Nikita Duncan.
I'm Frank Zhang, and this has been EBS Talks.
Good night, Eaglebrook.